What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols. This is our reaction show where we're going to break down everything that has been happening between both the Hounds and the Riveters over the past week. I am Mike Sparks. Joining me is Steve Mattias and Josh Brokaw. Guys, what have I missed? I feel like I
Hardly
go away.
Anything happened.
Yeah. Seriously, the Hounds beat NYCFC. The Riveters have their first ever game. The Hounds, they don't do so well. Yeah, I feel like things are crazy. I can get into why they're crazy in a minute, but first, Josh, what's going on, man?
Watched all of Andor season 2, and it's fantastic. So if you're not watching it, I guess start with season 1. But season 2 is also great. So yeah, and then I went right into watching Rogue One. So
nice.
I feel like you have to. As soon as that last episode goes, you're like, okay, might as well. Rogue One.
Yeah, I got behind the 8 ball on season 2. I thought season 1 was like some of the best television I had seen in a long time, and so season 2 aired, and there was something that happened, and so we missed it. And then it's like, well, now I need enough time to like get through all of them, and I needed to sit down and start.
Nice,
good shout, Steve.
Yeah, I'm behind on Andor. I think I've watched 1 or 2 of episodes of season 2, but I just need to sit down and do it. I've been going back and rewatching original Star Trek.
Oh, nice.
And it is fantastic, but it is so hokey at times, and I love that about it. I mean, the fight scenes are absolutely hilarious. Like, my favorite is like the double fist punch like that across the face, and then like the ridiculous like falls that the other guys do. Like it is fun. If you've never watched the original, the storylines are great. If not a bit too on point for the time period. The other thing I really like about it is like there's a lot of hope and optimism about the future of humanity, and I really appreciate that. But no, I'm playing softball with some friends on their church league. So early yesterday evening did that, but had to not continue in the game because I pulled my quad.
You're old.
But overall, it's just like a lot of fun hanging out with one of my best friends and getting to meet some other people and just, do something I haven't done in a long time. And so, that was the big thing yesterday.
Awesome. Steve, I told you off air, I'm running off of probably 4 solid hours of sleep over the past 72. So this could go really good or really bad, but I was like, I want to talk to you guys anyway. I kind of want to apologize, but also not apologize to kind of everybody. I already told the Mongols crew, I started a new job that is like super demanding of my time, which is great. I enjoy it. It's fun. But like, that's part of the reason why we haven't been doing preview shows. That's why we haven't had player interviews. I literally just am in meetings all day and I can't coordinate well with the Hounds. So that's been great. My kids, it's May. So like, the month of May is always insane because everything they do at school, they try to compact into the month of May. So it's like band concerts and soccer practices and games and different shows. And it's been nonstop. And then this weekend was a camp out that Friday, Saturday, and we got back this morning. And so of course I was like, it figures camp out, inaugural Riveters game, wanted to be there. Couldn't even watch it live because literally had no cell service. So, I did rewatch the game today. So I think the way that I phrased it to you guys was that I don't apologize for the priorities that I make. Like in my life, my priorities are like family, work, and then like everything Hounds related. Yeah. If work and Hounds related were like swap, that'd be amazing. It can't be right now. So, but that's why there's been less content. So apologies to people for that. But, there's so much to talk about just over this past week. Let's get into it. We're going to sort of flip the order of things. I think we're going to talk about Hounds first, and then we'll go Riveters. But first, we will start with Hey Sir.
And now, Hey Sir, 1 minute reactions with Laura Ellen.
It's too late. I'm an old woman, and I need to go to bed. And it's late, and they're still playing. And guess what? The Hounds are really boring to watch. They're really boring to watch. So insert whatever adjective you want to describe the Hounds game. The Riveters, on the other hand, my goodness, if you have not listened to the full 90 yet, listen to it. If you are not at that match, because it captured the essence of what it must have been like to be there. And I am so sad I missed it. I'm so excited to come out in a couple weeks to watch them play in person and cheer for them in person. But goodness, the Hounds now have something. They have a bar. They have a bar. And what are they doing with it? Seemingly nothing. Anyway, I'm going to bed. I don't know how this game is going to end. I hope they pull it out. Goodness, it's the 38th minute right now. I hope they pull it out, but it's not looking so good. But Riveters, so excited that this organization finally put the resources behind a women's team. This is amazing. And that's what gets me excited. This Hounds team, not so much. But here we go. We love this game. Come on, Hounds. Let's go, Riveters.
This has been Hey Sir, 1 minute reactions with Laura Ellen.
The ups and downs in that.
I was gonna say hi, Laura Ellen. It's the future. They did not pull it out. It's the Hounds. The Hounds lose 1-0 to Colorado. Guys, I did not watch this game. I watched the highlights. I had enough time for one game, and it wasn't even a full one game. It was 86 minutes of Riveters that I watched. So I'm going to leave this one up to you. It sounds like there are lots of thoughts. We will get to the Riveters games, but it feels like seeing another team play in Pittsburgh has also probably affected our thoughts on what we're seeing with the Hounds. So, Steve, I'll start with you. Give me a takeaway or thoughts about what's going on here.
I have no idea what Bob thinks is going to happen in a game when he doesn't have a plan to score goals. I think that the best player on the night offensively was Danny Griffin. And I think we all love Danny, right? But he is not a goal scoring attacking midfielder. And so when the best opportunities are coming from Danny, that's problematic from a team and tactical perspective. And I feel like I've said this 10 times this season already, right? And so I don't know, Bob, do something different, change something. Don't just sit there and pretend you are going to grind out wins 0-0, because you're not going to grind out wins 0-0, and you're still giving up goals from time to time. And so you're not picking up points.
Josh?
Yeah, this was a very disheartening game. This one felt just so lazy, so just bland, and it really was apparent that we had no plan, no idea, there was nothing in the tank. And I don't understand why. It's not like this game was, coming off of they had more games than normal, but at the same time, you got to do something with this. And this isn't a good team they were playing against. It's not like they were playing against top team in the West. They were playing against a team that had 0 wins, 1 win, I think, on the record, which, isn't saying much for us either. But it was just so disheartening, and it felt like there was no plan at all. Yeah. I think I said to someone on Reddit, there's a thread going on Reddit about, kind of like gloom and doom, as usually there is on Reddit. But it was basically that, it's time to bring out the paper bags on the heads, and it's let's chill. We're not the worst team in the league. So, it's always an extreme on Reddit. But I do think that there is, this isn't acceptable. This isn't good enough. I'm not saying Lily out. I'm saying Lily do something. You know what I mean? This is, I think we still have the personnel in place to make something happen, both on the field and off the field. They're not currently doing it. And that needs to change, because this was pathetic.
You guys, I listened to the show last week that you guys did with Justin. I thought it was great. But sort of what I'm thinking from afar is, okay, so we beat NYCFC 1-0 off a last play of the game header from Beto. And then we go to Louisville, who, historically we know Louisville, one of the best teams. We have this fake rivalry with them, even though it's not really a thing. And we draw 0-0. And you guys are like, it's a good point. And I agree. We've said before, if you draw away and you win at home, it's good. We're fine with that. But in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking, we still haven't solved the scoring problem. Like Beto scoring off a header on a corner kick late in a game could be just as much a fluke as it is a real thing.
Mike, you're not wrong.
So like, I get the high and I get the hope that like, hey, maybe this NYCFC thing will be like a jump spark that will like get everybody in the right mood. And I know like the guys are wrestling with stuff in their heads about just all of the pressure. And I get all of that, but it just felt to me like I was worried at the time, is this just like a Band-Aid? Like, this isn't actually solving the problem. This is just like, here's a gold star and we're not changing anything else. And that feels like what you guys are saying was the case in this game too. Is that the wrong read?
No. And I'll say last week, I don't know about Josh, I don't know about Justin, but I suspect that they would agree with this, that I purposely didn't bring up as much as I could have the lack of forward scoring goals, mainly because, okay, we've had 2 good results within a week. Is that the type of thing that then makes some changes in the mindsets of the guys and helps things click in other places on the field and helps other players click, right? Like that was the hope. I mean, last night takes a lot of that hope away when it's like, what's going on, right? Like you're going against a team that's given up, what was it, 16, 15 goals, something like that on the season already. And you get how many, 2 shots on goal, right? Like you've got to do more. Okay, you can't win when you're not shooting the ball. And we weren't shooting the ball. We weren't getting into positions too.
Josh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I think all this is indicative of Bob making decisions to not lose the game instead of making decisions to win the game. And that is what all this has felt like against Louis. We played in a way that made it so we weren't going to lose that game. Not going to win it, but we're not going to lose it. And against New York, we did the same thing. It just happens that we got a lucky set piece goal. Like, you know what I mean? Like set pieces and, free kicks are where we're going to score our goals, apparently, because run and play is out of the question unless someone does something pretty spectacular or takes advantage of a mistake the defense makes, the defense makes. And like, sure, that you could play that way, but you then are not putting your destiny in your own hands because you have to rely on your opponent to make a mistake and you capitalize on that mistake. In this situation, Augie, I think, had 5 touches on the ball. I was trying to look it up to make sure I was right about that, but literally, and none of them were like scoring. Like it was just basically he actually touched the ball like 4 or 5 times. It's like, and at that point, I don't know. You can't really blame Augie if he's not even getting service. Like what's he supposed to do if he's not even getting the ball? The reason Danny and has as many good touches as he does because the ball's going through him, so he has more opportunities to show his skill. Whereas if you're not getting the ball to Augie, then what are you even doing? So I don't know. And the fact that we still have only seen Augie and Burton on the field together once, and wasn't even for a whole game. Like it's like we're not playing to win. We're just not. We look weak. We look like we're just trying not to embarrass ourselves, and it should be more than that at this point. That's my point.
And I think, Josh, to that point, that this is not a 10 game, 11 game, however many games we played this season issue, that this is going back into most of last season as well. And it took bringing in Jacqueline for things to start to change significantly on the goal scoring front. But we've talked about this so many times before as well, that like if we're putting our hopes in one player being able to play and that changing this team's ability to score goals, that's really, really problematic. And you need more players that can make a difference. And so, yeah, I'm going to say it again and again and again. Bob, you have to go after players that can play in this league year in and year out instead of bringing in college guys that will eventually be good, but expecting those guys to be the ones that are filling out your bench that you then don't trust for the first half of the season to bring in pressure situations, because that's what we see year in and year out. And it's not good enough at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to talk about the Riveters in a second, but I think the big thing for me is that, not that I've ever really like wrestled with this, but I think there's a lot of sentiment around the USL for Bob and sort of his record and what he has done, and we're not going to. He has done amazing things here in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before Bob was here, we were barely making the playoffs. We have not missed the playoffs since he's gotten here. But I think that to think that, you know, Bob is this like sort of genius that knows things that other people don't know. And like, if you just stick with it, and maybe, but when you watch the Riveters play and you see just how much fun the game is, and that's not just player based, that is structurally how the team is set up tactically, is very different. And it is very, we are going to take the game to you of a mentality. And so I have a hard time, like, I very much side on the side of the players, and in terms of the Hounds, like, I feel for these guys because I think technically we have a number of really, really good players. I just feel like we're not being put in the position to win. Josh, to your point, we're attempting to be put in the position of not to lose. And mentally, if you play like that and then you still lose, that is crippling. If your only goal is to not lose, and that's what's like being beaten into you, and then you lose, then what do you think about your worth versus like, okay, you know, we went out, we took the game to them, we had a number of great opportunities and they just didn't go. That's completely different than we're going to sit back and hope to get one or two chances and maybe they'll go in and then they don't. And it just, it's rough. Yeah. It's rough. Where are we on the, you know, I don't think anyone's actually said Lily out, and I don't know if I'm saying Lily out. Are either of you saying Lily out at this point? Josh?
I mean, I'm not, because I do think Lily is smart and he knows how this league works, and he can. I'm not of the opinion that Lily can't learn new tricks, because he has in the past. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've seen him change the way he does things and is tactically smart, and he can do these things. But it's just the fact that it always feels like he's doing them in service of just kind of eking by with the Hounds. And it's been that way unless we get a flash in the pan striker like Chico, who just like everything clicks with him. And it's like, oh, wow, this is great. But again, if it's not for him, then we don't get through, you know, we don't get that player shield or something like that. So it's not that I think Lily needs to go. It's just what he's doing isn't working and he needs to change it.
Steve?
Yeah. Well, I'll quibble with the flash in the pan Chico, because I don't think it was a flash in the pan. It took him 3 seasons to get to a point where he was an excellent forward, right? And so it took that time. That it wasn't that Bob went out, found a guy, and that made all the difference. It's that he had him signed for 4 total seasons, and it was in the last season that he really, really excelled. And so I don't even see that, like, yes, above average, much, much better than above average in that season than most other players in the league. Obviously, I mean, he won player of the year that year, but I think that just shows that, yes, a lot of these guys are able to be really good in the long term. But when your entire model is built on, I'm going to find the raw talent and develop it, and it's going to take 4 years, or I'm not going to re-sign them, and then they're going to score a goal against us in the opening game. Like, what do you expect, right? Like, those are the things that are so frustrating for me with Bob. And do I think that Bob can play tactically at this level? Yes. But I don't think that Bob knows how to build a roster anymore to compete in this league. I think he knows how to build a roster to compete in this league 8 years ago, and it's not the same league. And I don't think he, or maybe Tuffy, has made the adjustments that they need to make to actually put together a team that can be competitive, because we are losing to teams that we have historically beat time in and time out. because they are doing things differently and they are adjusting to the higher spending. And if we're spending all of our money on one player, and don't get me wrong, I think that Augie has the talent to be successful on this team. But when that's the solution, rather than saying, how are we going to go out and we're going to spend this money and we're going to spend more money so we can actually build a team that is cohesive and where we have guys that are challenging for starting positions right off the bat, not guys that are coming and need half a season or a full season to get to a point where we think that they are ready for this level day in and day out. So I don't know where I am, but those are my thoughts.
I think where I am, it's not Lily out. I think that what Scott is doing with the Riveters could be very bad for Bob in terms of it showing within the same organization there are other ways that you could go about approaching games. And even when you draw, it's more entertaining and there's more hope in it than some of the draws that we've had and feel like crap. And so my concern is that we know that Bob is kind of entrenched everywhere within the organization, aside from the academy. And here comes Scott out of the academy to lead the Riveters. That either Bob needs to make some adjustments, or we've now been shown that there's other ways of doing things. And whether that means Bob starts to be more of like a defensive guy and you have somebody else take on the offensive stuff, or something is going to have to change. But the more that the Riveters can do the kind of stuff that they did, even in a draw, the worse it looks for Bob and the Hounds. And with Tuffy having ownership over both, he now has another thing to look at and go, well, wait a minute, they're doing this. Like, why can't we do something like that? And we'll see what happens.
But I don't know that that's the mindset that Tuffy has.
Well,
I'm not.
I was going to say, I don't think the two are comparable just because of the fact that we're almost like, when it comes to the W League, we're more like the big fish in the little pond as far as money being spent and like how we're going about it in this organization. So I almost think that's the wrong message. I hope that they don't get too much of a message from that, because it's almost like, nope, we have to spend more money than everyone else in order to win, is what the message is there. Because I do think we're playing at a huge advantage with the Riveters because of the money that they have to spend and the organization they have behind it. It's a bigger organization than what most W League teams have. So if the message they get from the Riveters is, hey, we spend more money, we get better results. I mean, we've tried that message here in Pittsburgh with, spending on forwards, and it has not worked out in the past. So I don't want that message to be what they get.
And I'm not necessarily saying that that's what I think the message should be. I don't think it's that you should spend more. I think that there are smart things that you can do tactically in terms of how you position the team, what types of players you go and get that can make you competitive in ways that we just currently aren't. That's all. Trying to say that all of our offense has to funnel through one player. When you look at the Riveters, how many players, there were literally moments where they had 3 forwards and 2 holding midfielders in the box constantly.
Yep.
And we can't do that. We're sending the ball up to Augie on a hope and a prayer, and maybe he'll make some magic happen. And you're not going to win games that way. And that is a tactical, mental thing, not a go spend a whole bunch of money to bring in a whole bunch of great players thing.
No, and I don't think it's go spend a whole bunch of money to bring in a bunch of great players, right? Like, I think that we all recognize that the Hounds are not going to outspend teams like Sacramento and Louisville and Rhode Island, right? Like, that's not where we are. Those teams are signing A+ players, right? But I think that Bob has the quality as a coach to take a bunch of B+, A- players, but a full roster of A+ and B- players to a championship, rather than a couple of A's, maybe an A+, and then a bunch of C's and a bunch of ungraded players, right? And that's what we're seeing, that, okay, some of those ungraded players, they're going to be A+ players eventually, but they're not there yet. And when you expect and keep saying that you're going for a championship, but you don't have the players that have the experience, that have the development level yet, then I have a hard time believing that, right? And so it is not, for me, even the tactics, right? Like I think that the tactics we've seen, even some of the changes, there's a lot of hope in that for me. But it is the selection of players are not ready yet. And I am not saying don't sign those players, but don't sign a roster of 22 players. Sign a roster of 27 players and bring in some other guys that those guys can develop over the next few years that you're signing to 2-1 contracts. And in 2 years, those are your go-to guys, but they can't be right now because you, Bob, know that, right? Like that's why you're signing them, because you see that they have the potential, but you're signing them because you want to develop them into that. But you need the guys.
We've said this before, I think. We've said that Bob is really good at molding players.
Mm-hmm.
He's not good at picking a player and putting together like a puzzle. He wants clay. He doesn't want puzzle pieces. Like he can't get a whole bunch of pieces and be like, look, I made a fully formed roster and it's a system that works. He would rather find a player that doesn't have, just has raw skill, but doesn't have exactly like a style yet. And he like molds them into what he wants.
I think you are right, and then that is what he prefers, but I don't think that he's not able to get guys to perform when they've already formed in different ways, right? Like, and I look at a guy, okay, it didn't work out for him to stay long term, and I know that there was some tension between him and Bob, but a guy like Rustis Cerrone, who excelled in Pittsburgh, right? And there are numerous players like that have come in for 2 seasons, and that's not that. I'm not saying sign all these other players for years and years and years, but have a roster of 26, 27 guys where you have other alternatives to Jockeson and Williams when they're struggling, right? You don't have that option right now. Who are you going to? You're going to an academy contract and a guy in his first professional season. Those are our other forwards. It's not working. It's not good enough.
Yeah. So, okay, we kind of have, I think, made our stance on what's going on with the Hounds pretty clear.
Not strongly.
Yeah. There's some work that needs to be done. We have a game this week against Philly in the Open Cup. I know Justin is feeling, well, prior to this game, Justin was feeling pretty good about our chances. I think he and I are going to try to do a preview show for that tomorrow night and then release it. So we will see how that goes. But he is sort of the Philly insider because he does another podcast about Philly. So it'll be really interesting to sort of get his take on that before that game.
I am really glad. So I'm going out. I'm going to stay the night with Justin, and we're going to bring their daughter. Laura Ellen is out of town, so it's just going to be the 3 of us. Going to that game. But I'm really glad I bought those tickets Friday night before leaving for the Riveters game, because I don't know that I'd want to buy them right now.
Yeah. Guys, I did not update the board, but I do have your picks from last week. We need 3 players from this game. I know. And then we can go on. We can talk about fun stuff. Steve wanted to save the fun stuff for last. I don't think he was wrong in this case. So I have no horse in this race because I didn't watch the game other than the highlights. I need 3 players from you guys in order. Give me someone, Josh.
There isn't anyone that should be on that board for this game. Danny Griffin, I guess, just because he did some things, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. DG. Are there any other? I mean, we've never done this before. In theory, you could do 1 and just give them 3 points.
I feel like despite a 1-0 loss, right? Like it was a 1-0 loss. It could have been a lot worse. That the best players on the field for the Hounds were defensive players. And so I'm looking at Suber and Vactor as the 2 guys that I think that actually did their job throughout the game. And the goal, wasn't that Beto's coverage? And
yes.
So he's the odd man out in that because he's the one that let up the goal. Okay. And I don't think he had a poor game. I think he just was the one that got beat in that. And so the other 2,
he got beat pretty easy too. Suber was not happy about that. Yeah.
I can't believe I'm trying to make an argument now because who cares? Because I don't really think anyone deserves. I will say, Biasi can have a hot head and is usually like more of a liability lately than not. But the fact that he was playing with passion out there and actually looked like he was, willing to get yellows and make those tackles, At least it was
I like
something. At least he looked like he was, playing with passion out there compared to some of the other players. So, like, I would throw him in the mix. That's all I'm saying. Because, yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
We got 4 players: DG, Suber, Vactor, Biasi. Give me a number 1.
Can you all just get 1 point?
Can I roll some dice?
We can. If you guys legit think that they're all tied, we can go with 4 players and give them 1 point each. I'll say that's the rule.
I don't like the precedent.
3 players at 1 point each, not 4. As few points as we have to give out for this is the best.
What I don't like about that is I feel like that's us just not wanting to hash this out because we feel awful about it.
DG for 3.
Josh, I think you actually make a really good point about Biasi that I think he actually had a really good game. He just, like, the team was poor, and so that didn't shine as much as it would in a game where the team is good, and he's actually contributing to some things happening offensively as well as defensively.
Between Suber and Vactor, which one do you think deserves points?
It's a coin flip.
I would say Suber. He's more consistently good.
All right, so we're saying DG 3
on the
points.
night or just overall.
Yeah, listen, that's all I got going. Right? Yeah, I would say Danny Griffin for 3, Biasi for 2, and Suber for 1.
I like that.
Perfect. I feel like this is where we need like a hard transition. Maybe we need a new transition to go from like Hounds to Riveters or Riveters to Hounds, but we never know what order we'll do it in, so it'll have to be sort of universal. But we don't have one, so now just imagine like okay,
just
now
like their logos and like a flip flop. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can make that happen. Yeah. We know people. Guys, the Riveters, like, holy cow, they had a kit reveal and they had their first game. First of all,
good transition, Mike.
I want to talk about the kits. I literally went to order a kit today, and like if you go to the Hounds, I think you can get both like men's and women's cuts on the kits. If you try to get a Riveters kit, I'm not looking for a men's cut, but there's no size information. It just says like small, medium, large, XL. And I'm like, is that a women's large? Is it a men's large? What is it? So I don't know what to order. So I need to get clarity from the front office as to like what these sizes mean before I go and order it. But I think the home kit is fire. What did you guys think about the home and away and the keeper kit, Josh? What do you think?
I really liked the black kit. I thought the plain design on it looked really cool, and it was like just really unique. I'm not too sold on the yellow. I thought the yellow looked cool like when I first saw it because I like the gray and yellow thing. Like I'm usually the minority in that.
I'd say traditionally that's been your thing.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone else is like, I don't know if I like the gray, but it was actually not the gray for me. It was. I like the fact that they have Rosie on there. I just don't like they were using a whole bunch of like images of Rosie, not like the traditional one. And I'm just not a huge fan of the style of some of those versions of Rosie. So I was like, this is kind of weird. I kind of wish it was just the OG Rosie like printed on the kit. But yeah, overall, I thought it looked really cool. Both of them did, but we already bought the black one. Nice. And it is a unisex size, so it's not like women's cut or men's cut. It's unisex, and it's I felt like it ran a little bit bigger than the Hounds kits this year. Like,
interesting. Okay,
yeah.
But so like
that was just my experience.
So did you get the same size in a Riveters kit as you would for a Hounds kit?
So Liz ended up picking up the black kit, and she got the same size we would normally get, and it seemed to fit me and her pretty well. I got one size bigger for the Hounds kit because I also got the black and yellow Hounds kit because I hadn't picked it up this year yet. I've been meaning to. So since we were buying the Rivers kit, we just bought both. And yeah, I felt like the Hounds kit, even though I got a size bigger, just in general, I felt like it was running a little bit smaller than the
Interesting. That's good to know. Okay, well then maybe I won't, accost the front office. Steve, thoughts on the kits?
I think they're both fine. Neither of them for me are amazing, but they're both, I think, really good kits. But what I think is absolutely fire is that like lavender purple keeper kit. It looks phenomenal, both in the promo images, but seeing it live, like it's just such a great shade. I really like that one. I mean, honestly, if I don't think they're selling that one on the team store. But that might be a kit that I would buy this season. As much as I love all the kits, but just because that's so unique, I think like that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say I like what they did with the Riveters home kit. Is it my favorite kit of all time? No. But there is part of me that's like, this is really cool. This is really unique. This is their first kit ever.
Mm-hmm.
And like it could be a really cool thing to wear like 10 years from now, whenever they're tearing it up in the Super League or whatever.
And
so
the logo's been redesigned 3 times.
Okay.
And you got the retro logo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the Hound's dog. Yeah, it'll be the same thing. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think they did a good job for the inaugural one. I think people are going to be excited about it. So I think well done. Also, real quick, this is a total tangent. I was looking at leaked 25-26 kits in the Premier League, and a bunch of them have started going with imagery from the city that the team is in. And I was like, oh, so were the Hounds just like cutting edge with the bridge last season and now everyone else is catching up, or what? But I digress. Guys, let's actually talk about the game. So we played Cleveland, first game ever. It was the 4th highest attended game in Highmark history. Yeah. You guys were there. Yes, it was a draw. We will get to the play on the field. Josh, talk me through the atmosphere and just what it was like to be in a packed house like that again.
It was great. It very much felt reminiscent of the Columbus Crew Open Cup game. I know it wasn't quite as many people, but I couldn't tell that big of a difference. It was a packed house. The atmosphere was great. I mean, it's just people were super stoked. Felt like the whole stadium was getting into it, not just the Paul Childs stand. A lot of new faces in the Steel Army section as well. So that was really cool. So you're seeing like random people that I'm just like, oh, this does feel like a different crowd. Yeah. Like it was still, we were doing the chants, doing the whole thing. It was funny. I feel bad for Jordan because he was our capo and he was trying to do the chants, but every once in a while he would actually do the Hounds instead of the Riverhounds. Yep. It's just like everyone's like, ah. But it was all good fun. Everyone had a blast. It was cool. At the very beginning, we had yellow smoke, yellow, black, and red pop for the beginning of the game. And just like, that looks cool.
It really did.
So yeah, like it was just a great time. The fact that it was a Friday game was so weirding me out though, because like the whole time I'm thinking this feels like Saturday. This is all the thing, doing the thing, and then suddenly Saturday comes along. I'm like, oh, there's a Hounds game. Oh crap. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not looking forward to when the Hounds and the Riveters are home and it's a Friday, Saturday, because it's gonna be a lot.
It's gonna be a lot.
It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah. That happens in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot.
Yep.
Steve, what were your thoughts on just the environment?
I mean, absolutely spectacular. Josh, I think, covered the fan environment really well. I am really, really impressed with the organization, treating everything at the same level that they treat the Hounds, right? And so we are talking about the USLW, a semi-pro women's league, not a professional league. And everything that the Hounds did, they did exactly the same as they would do for a Hounds game. And so for me, I think that is just absolutely awesome. I think it really made the women on the field feel really, really special and really valued. I think that makes Highmark a really intimidating place to come for a lot of other teams, because at best, some of these players have maybe seen that if they've played national team soccer, or if they've been on a really competitive college team, but they're not used to this if they've played USLW or a similar semi-pro league in the past, to see something that level in this level of league, right? And so that for me was great. Even things like the match day notes that Grubba and his team put out, that using the same exact template. I mean, it's kind of funny to read through it because it's like everything's zeros. We don't have anything for this yet. We will make records this year in this, right? But that they're doing it that way, that it's like, yes, we don't have the history for this yet, so we don't have anything to say, but we are looking forward to saying these things. Was really fun. I think the one thing that Josh didn't say about the fan aspect, though, is that final whistle blows. And the women all head back to the locker room, not realizing that like everybody wanted them to come over. And so they had to somebody had to go get them and bring them back out to come say hi to the fans and whatnot.
Wait,
and that is great.
Scott didn't keep him on the field for 20 minutes after the game?
Actually, my theory was, what if Scott is doing the post-game talk in the locker room? They not in front of the whole crowd, just go
like most coaches do,
do what you got to do, and then you get back on the field to greet the crowd and because they still did the signing of autographs, because I got a feeling they had known the autograph session was going to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just going to be a difference where they go into the locker room, do their thing, and then come back out. I just wanted to mention one other thing. You kind of touched on it, Steve, was the level of production. Their intro video and then the roll call. So every time they call a player's name, they have the player's picture on the Jumbotron.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually cooler than what the Hounds have. They did this thing where it has a banner that looks like it's a waving banner with their image on it, and their image is also waving. I was like, that is a high production quality looking thing right there compared to the Hounds just showing the picture of the player. So I was like, nice. So I'm actually hoping they upgrade some of the Hound stuff to match the level of production that they're doing for the Riveters.
Yeah. No, I'm super stoked. I was really, really bummed that I couldn't be there. It looked like it was fantastic. It looked like the full weight of the team was behind it, and it looked great. It had to be a great experience for the players. I think it sets a bar for the players as well of this is the level. This is what we're going to bring to you guys. Now you guys need to bring it as well. I thought it looked great.
So one other thing I want to say, a friend of mine brought her niece to the game. And so got to hear afterwards that this was the first time her niece had been to this type of environment, I believe. And just how much she loved it, had a blast. And so I think that as well is something that is just absolutely amazing, right? I think we've seen that with the Hounds, that you see kids running out and greeting the guys afterwards, but seeing women play for young girls is an absolutely amazing experience that I don't think I can understand or also explain how great that is, but just hearing about someone that I know that had that experience is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about what happened on the field. Like I said, it was a 0-0 draw. I think a lot of people were expecting us to come in and just start blowing teams out. The caveat here is that it sounds like they had less than a week as a team to even practice together, which is something we knew. When we talked to Scott in the offseason, we knew a lot of these players would just be wrapping up college. And that's one of the challenges, is that you're literally being launched into a season as soon as these women get back from school. And so it's tough. Now, obviously you have some players who are done with school, Sabrina Bryan, who are kind of around and doing stuff, but you can't win the game on your own. So it's going to take a team effort to do this. So there's going to be a few games where we're going to see them growing and developing and sort of playing the way that Scott wants to play. Josh, what did you think about play on the field? Anybody stand out to you? Any sort of moments from the game that you thought were great?
I will say I think it was 4 days of practices. That's how much they had before. So 4 practices before this game. And it showed. I don't think they were as cohesive as they could be. But even with that said, it always felt like they were on the offense. They were on the attack. They were the ones that were making the plays, and it felt dangerous the whole time for the Force. They had to make some great saves, some great defensive moves. And I don't know if you watch the non-goal that the Riveters had, but I think that was a goal. I don't know how that was not a goal. But anyway, I do think if this is indicative of what they look like with just 4 practices under their belt, that this is going to be a fun team to watch. I don't know how you walk out of that game thinking, any gloom and doom at all. Like, this is definitely a situation where it's like, yeah, this is going to be great.
This gets back to, my whole thought about it being tactics and sort of Scott versus Bob a little bit. But I literally, we had people stopping over today in and out. So I wasn't even able to watch the game consistently start to finish, but I got through the first 45 minutes and I was like, I was impressed that it was just a fun game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know the last time that I could sit and watch the Hounds and be like, well, that was a fun game to watch. The way that we were approaching it, the way that part of it, I think, is the formation. Like, we have actual attacking wingers that want to get into the box and make a difference and make good crosses and make plays. And that's something the Hounds don't have.
We saw attacking wingers who wanted to and were allowed to get into the box.
Yes.
I want to be really specific about that. But I don't think it's that the Hounds don't have attacking wingers that wanted to get to the box. I think it is a tactical difference
the allowed
that we saw with Scott on this team.
Agreed. It was lots of fun. Steve, give me a takeaway.
This was so fun, I think, because you could see that these women knew what their jobs were, right? And yes, there was a little bit of things that were disjointed because they haven't had a lot of time, but I think it is really evident. And I think I could go to any Hounds Academy on the girls' side and watch them play and see exactly what we saw on that field in terms of the system. And so that was, for me, a joy to watch, that like you saw the system working, even though the players may not be really familiar with each other, that they knew what their jobs were, and that the players that may not know that were able to slot in to some of those positions because there was a cohesive system that so many of the players were so familiar with at the first game, even with so little practicing. But no, I mean, they seem to be having fun. I think, though, my bigger takeaway is that this is not a game that the Riveters did not win. This is a game that Cleveland played really, really well defensively. And I feel bad for the Cleveland fans because I know what it is like to be on the other side of that. That's what I think they felt like, right? Like, I think they felt like we're going in trying not to lose this game. Right? Like, we're going in if we can get a counterattack goal. And they were looking for some counterattack goals, but they were really strong defensively, and they got their draw. And that's good for them. But I think that on another night, this is a 2-0, 3-0 game for the Riveters.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, the first game for any team in any season, really, I mean, it's a little bit difficult because we as fans are still trying to figure out, like, what is this? What are we getting to see? There were a couple standout players for me. I know we'll do top three here in a minute. We'll see if you guys agree. I thought that Pauline Nels in goal, like playing as like a sweeper keeper in the German style, was so refreshing to see. Like, so confident with the ball at her feet, literally dribbling the ball at an attacker before making a pass to the right or left rather than waiting for the attacker to come to her, was just you talk about fun. That was so much fun to watch. Yeah. I thought Tessa sort of growing into the game sort of started off in the midfield and then just absolutely being everywhere in a Jackson Walty-esque style, but even more so getting into the front. I mentioned the wingers. I thought Olivia D'Amico and Sabrina Bryan were both super dangerous out on the wings. And just every time they got it, it was, we're going forward, we're going forward, we're going forward. Lily Bain towards the end, just a big body, like willing to take people on and get edged. There's so much fun and excitement that's happening with the squad. And I think that there's more, there's going to be more players that we're just going to get more and more familiar with and be able to sort of set a bar for in our minds. But this was just a great start in my mind. I mean, what did you guys think? Any other players sort of jump out at you before we sort of get into our rankings?
I could not figure out who it was from my vantage point, but there was a player that was in the second half chasing down an attacker on like the grandstand side. And I couldn't figure out who it was because I couldn't see the number. But the speed that this woman had was phenomenal. And it was fun to watch because the attacker had her by a step and a half at 20 yards out. And she chased her down and kept her from getting on the end of the ball and getting a cross in. And so stuff like that, like that's a lot of fun to watch when you can see it. So I'm sorry, whoever that was, that I couldn't figure out who you were, but kudos, because it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Josh, any other players or standout moments for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to say her name. Fontaine, I think. Yeah. She had a lot of great opportunities there, and I think, is she the one who actually got the disallowed goal? No, it was I'm not going to remember her name. Who got the disallowed goal?
I just watched it, but I said 4 hours of sleep, so it's already out of my head. So.
But yes, that's the one that stuck out to me.
Yeah. No, overall, I think it felt a little bit more wide open. You saw a lot more sort of one-on-one battles. The women aren't afraid to take on players one-on-one, which is exciting. The default is not play the safe play. It's we're going to take it to you and we're going to be attacking and we're going to try to make stuff happen. And that was really, really fun. I'm really looking forward to the next game.
It was Piper. Piper is the one
Piper?
she's the one that had the disallowed goal. So
that's right. Was Piper Caulfield?
Yeah,
I think is her last. Yep. She was one that stuck out to me early on, and I was like, "Is it the red hair? Is that why like I'm noticing her more?" But no, she had some close down speed. She was playing a lot. One of the cool things I think Justin alluded to in our chat is that it's clear that they have identified multiple ways that they want to attack. So the defense kind of had the freedom to play these long balls over the top, and we had enough people up high on the wings to then be able to try to get on those and create something from out wide. But we also weren't afraid to play through the middle through Tessa and try to develop stuff that way. So again, you're getting a different look to what we're used to seeing in Pittsburgh. And I think that's a bit refreshing and entertaining. And Steve, I think you used the word hope. It is. I think it's generating a lot of hope about what soccer could be here moving forward. So
also, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say also shout out to Desora, youngest Riveters player at 17. She got the first yellow card, which go you.
Kudos.
Love to see
First
it.
Riveters yellow card. Good job.
Yeah. No, I think it will be a travesty if this organization does not pursue a USL Super League team, because there were 4 or 5 players on that field for the Riveters the other night that I think will be playing at that level in the next few years. And so you have those relationships. You've got that pipeline if you go to the top division in women's soccer in the USL. So I would love to see some of these women playing at a professional level for the Pittsburgh Riveters in the future, because I think they can.
It's almost a catch-22, because like the way I'm seeing it right now is like, if they can make this atmosphere happen for the W League, where they're not paying that much for players or anything, and they're having this much success, and they're basically the overhead's a lot less, why go up in their eyes in a completely business-minded
Sure.
sense? And also the fact that you can have women going from the RDA straight to basically college / the Riveters.
W,
And so like in that situation, it's like, I do agree with you. I do think they should go for, NWSL or the Super League. I actually think NWSL makes more sense. But it is a situation where it's like, well, I mean, first off, they need to expand the stadium, obviously. Like, they can't really go too much higher as far as like NWSL, I don't think.
No, women's side 5,000.
Is it still 5,000 for NWSL?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's a lot lower of a bar for the women's than it is for the men's.
I still think that would be a mistake to go NWSL with this stadium, personally. But regardless, I do think expansion would be, in the cards. But that is my one worry, is if they're able to keep on drawing huge crowds with a W League, why bother going higher?
So this organization makes me want to play the lottery and win $1 billion so that I can institute this vision of professional and semi-pro pathways on both sides, because that's what I want to see from this organization, right? Like, and that's why I think it is a shame if they don't do that. But I also want to see it on the men's side, right? Like, I want to see a USL2 Riverhounds team. I want to see the pathway of players starting in the academy and going all the way to pro with the team, not token academy contracts that maybe we'll see some of these guys in the future, but I don't know.
You're starting to encroach on something that I want to talk about after we get to our 3 players. So I'm gonna push this aside. Josh, my only thing with what you said is I fully agree with everything you said. I'm interested to see if we're still hitting these attendance records 2 and 3 games in. Mm-hmm. I think the fact that this was the inaugural game had a huge reason as to why it was packed. It's not to say that I don't think it will be packed or it should be packed. I'm just saying if we're keeping this up 2 to 3 games from now, then I think that your argument is much more valid.
Fair.
If we're expanding to a 15,000 seat stadium anyway, are we still going to be outselling that for a W team? I don't know. And so we'll have to wait and see. But I love how you're thinking about it for sure. We're going to start getting into a little bit of like Riveters, not versus Hounds, but like takeaways between Riveters and Hounds. So before we get there, are there any other things from this game you guys want to talk about before we do like top 3? And then we'll get into that.
No, let's do the top 3.
Let's do top 3. Okay. I have a proposed 4. And you guys can tell me if you disagree, and we can like take someone off that list.
It's not that I think any of those players don't deserve to be on that list, but I think that Piper Cofield was one of the best players on the night.
No one else can see the list, Steve. You're spoiling it for everybody. Way to go. My list. I had Tessa at 1. I had Nels at 2. And then I had either Sabrina Bryan or Olivia D'Amico, sort of our outside wingers, as like my 3rd spot. Do you guys disagree with either 1 or 2?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I think that Tessa was great, but Tessa needed time to grow into the game to really show off her top quality, and so she took a little bit of time to get involved. I think Piper was on the ball and played the best that she could play all night long from the first kickoff.
Josh?
I do think Piper should be in there. I don't know. I'm not positive about who you knock out, though. That's my only thing. Like, I feel like I just noticed her playing much more than some of these other names.
Okay.
So, Mike, here's what I'm going to say. With the performance that Piper had, if you were to ever interview you, she would have every right to say to you what Biasi has said to you, that you're undervaluing.
I know. I know. Okay, so what if do we think that Nell should be on the list, the keeper?
I think so.
Do we think Tessa should be on the list?
Yeah.
I will submit and say that Piper stood out enough to me that I think she should be on the list too. So now we're just figuring out order.
Okay.
So
this is a yes, I could roll the dice in the complete opposite way the last time we just had this conversation.
Okay. I don't know what that means. Again, 4 hours of sleep.
When we talked about the Hounds game, it was like, yeah, I'll roll the dice to see who comes up. Here I'm like, I feel good about all 3 of these players and the performances they had.
Okay.
I want to roll the dice because I don't know how to say no to one of these players, and I want to leave it up to chance, right?
Okay. Josh, do you feel strongly as a 1, 2, or 3 out of any of these?
I don't think Nels should be a 1. So the opposite of what you just said. Okay. I'm trying to think who I put as 1. I could see. I think Piper actually should be 1 for me, but
see, if we're saying it's not Nels, then I feel pretty strongly that I think I want to put Tessa at 1 because I think She's the first captain for the Riveters. There's a lot of pressure that comes with this. She's playing centrally when she typically plays out wide at school. And to your point, Steve, she went from like playing a little bit further back in like a holding midfield position to really trying to lead the attack and make something happen and like taking risks offensively. And so it just feels like there's more weight on her shoulders than most players on this team because she's the one the promos are about and all of that. And I felt like there were moments of the game where you could tell that she was like head and shoulders above other players on the field. So that's my argument for Tessa. I'm not saying that it has to be one.
I think that if you are right, and I think you are right about like what you're saying about her, she's going to end up at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the season.
I'm willing to go with Tessa at 1 because I was only watching this game live. I was not as
you're breaking my heart switching your vote.
No, stop talking, Steve. Go, Josh. Go.
I'm just saying he just watched the game and he had a much better view than I did.
That's right.
You know, I was soaking in the atmosphere and hanging out with everyone. So I'm willing to say Tessa and then Caulfield and then Nels.
Steve?
I'll write a dissenting opinion and we'll go with that.
Are you good with the 2 and 3 though? Go Piper and then go Nels.
I'm good. I think Nels as 3.
Okay.
My dissenting opinion is that I think Piper should be 1. But
yeah.
That's you guys have outvoted me.
We outvoted you. It's all good.
You persuaded Josh.
That's how this works. Man.
And then told me to shut up.
That's how it works. All right, so
I love it. Guys, I love it.
I know we're already over time. Let's play Mondo's moment.
I want to say one thing about this though, that there was a ball that came off the crossbar that Nels made a leap for.
Yes.
And it came back, hit her in the back, and popped out in front of her. And her recovery on it was absolutely beautiful.
She's really good.
It was amazing, and it was my favorite play of the game because to do that, have that heads up as the attacker is bearing down on you. I mean, it was awesome.
It will be really interesting to see if they get into sort of a keeper rotation because we know their other keepers really good too. But I was really impressed with Nels. So okay, let's do Mondo's moment and then just talk for a hot minute about comparison between the two teams, and then we'll get the heck out of here.
It's time for Mondo's moment. The top moment of the game from the Mandalorian.
This week's Mondo moment comes from early in the second half of the inaugural match of the Pittsburgh Riveters. Piper Caulfield puts pressure on the Cleveland goalkeeper and manages to get the ball in the net for the Pittsburgh Riveters. Unfortunately, the goal is disallowed, but this is the way.
This has been Mondo's moment.
I don't know what to hate more about that he like was reinforcing Piper at potentially 1 or that he was wearing a Chelsea jersey.
Yeah, the Chelsea, the relaxing outside was fun. I like that.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Mondo. So real quick, I know there's a ton of games coming up this week. I already talked about how we're going to talk about some of them tomorrow, I guess. There were a couple things that we were kind of dancing around, and I don't know if we need to have a full conversation about it or not, but just something to plant in your mind. What I think was most striking to me about this was the thought that this Riveters team, granted, it was a similar situation for Cleveland, but for this Riveters team, they had 4 practices together. A lot of the success and a lot of what we were seeing on the field came down to sort of a clear tactical plan and the fact that a lot of these women grew up in an academy that trained them to play a certain way and have made them extremely successful as players. It is very hard for me to not think, well, if this is happening on the women's side, you mean to tell me that we're not developing men who can also play at a very high level and be able to take on tactical challenges and do things? And I think that we are. If you look at some of the men who have gone through the Riveters or the Riverhounds program and are now playing in college, we likely have a similar set of talent out there that can do something similar, not at a USL championship level, but probably at a USL 2 level. But it feels to me almost like our Bob's back is just like turned to that possibility of using some of these players. And maybe that's just my perception. Josh, you're shaking your head. You disagree. What do you
I
think?
just don't think you can compare the levels. If you are expecting us to take players from the academy and bring them into Bob's team, it does, like, we've seen this. It's it takes more than that. If you're advocating for, like, we should have a League Two team and have a close relationship between the RDA and the League Two team, I agree with that idea. I think that'd be awesome. I would love to see a kind of like a stepping stone league for the boys in the RDA, but I don't think it can work directly from RDA to Riverhounds championship. I just don't think it's there. And so that's why I don't think it's comparable. And I also think that in a situation with the W League, it is just like League Two would be for the men's side. Raw talent gets you farther than just like than having to have like a system in place and everyone be on the same page. And the women's side does have an advantage because they do have both raw talent and a lot of them have played together or at least played in the same system. So they have a combination that kind of is a combo 1-2 punch that is going to make them go far in this league, I think. But I just don't think it translates into championship.
Steve,
go ahead. Something that I think is really, really important is also the difference in stratification between U.S. men's or U.S. boys academies and top tier players versus U.S. women's academies and top tier players. That the gap between the best U.S. academy players and the best players in the men's soccer game is not even comparable to the gap between the best U.S. Girls Academy players and the best women in the world, right? It's just a much smaller range. A lot of that, I think, is because women's soccer is a little bit more equitable in terms of around the world, how much is being spent on it. It's a lot less developed over time, right? It's much newer. And so you look at, like, find me a Hounds player that has played in the U.S. youth national team system or the German youth national team system, because we had a player on the field on Friday night that was a German U.S. youth goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that that's something that there are women that we saw that have the potential to be playing at the top levels within the next few years, including international play. I don't expect to see that with Riverhounds players that are actually playing competitively at the top levels, right? Like, we're going to see the occasional guys that are playing at the CONCACAF minnows. And I'm thrilled for them that they get that opportunity. But I'm not expecting to see a Riverhound play for the U.S. men's national team. I do think some of these Riveters have a chance to make that.
I won't stand for this Zach Steffen erasure that's happening.
He was a Columbus Crew loanee.
Listen, man. Listen, they're watching Nels play. There were flashbacks to Zach Steffens in my mind in terms of like what I was seeing. So it would be crazy to see her playing for the German national team here at some point soon. Like
super cool
at a World Cup. Like, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
And I think fully possible. Any other like comparison thoughts? Like, was there anything that you thought watching the Riveters that made you think of the Hounds in either a positive or negative light at all?
Not the Hounds per se, but I think that part of the reason that the environment was so great is that you're going into the night on Friday and you're starting from nothing. And so everything is fun and exciting. And so you can go in and you can say, hey, you know what, no matter what happens, like this can be a fun game. Because we know that there is hope for this team to do well. We expect that this team has the quality to do well, as opposed to numerous weeks of the three of us or others on the crew talking and debating, well, are we good? Are we not good? Right? Like, we don't have that history with the Riveters. And so that is a beautiful, beautiful thing for them. And I think for fans. And I think that's why people are excited about them and people turned out. And that's why I think we will see more sellout crowds for the Riveters this season.
Yeah. Josh, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, not to stir the pot a little bit, but it was really refreshing and fun to see a different type of coaching style, different type of coach. again, that's not like, it was just refreshing and fun. Be like, oh, this is like a different vibe, a different feel, coming from the bench and afterwards and everything like that. So it's been a while since we had something different.
Is Scott a yeller?
Not really.
Not really. He did get really upset on one of the plays that should have been called. And you saw him, and he was up. He was like down at the but he was talking to the center ref, not like the fourth official. Like,
yeah. Like I thought he was about ready to go on the field and like,
oh yeah.
Give him.
He was that close. And I was like, all right, like, hey, like he wasn't shouting at the field all night long, but like when something happened that deserved a manager stepping up and advocating for his team, he did it, and it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Liz mentioned another thing in the chat, but the entire coaching staff came over and greeted the Steel Army and like was part of that. Bob never does that. Bob was just like, no, I'm focused on the game and on the players and on that. The fans don't need to be there.
Just going to plant the seed. We have 3 games that we're going to be paying attention to this week. So the Hounds are away at Philly at 7:30 on Wednesday for the Open Cup. They're then away at Rhode Island on Saturday at 4 in league play, 4 o'clock, whatever. But then the Riveters play away at Flower City on Saturday at 6. So Saturday, you got a 4 o'clock Hounds game and a 6 o'clock Riveters game. Like, woo!
I hope you like the pitch on Butler, because the Steel Army, we are doing a doubleheader watch party. We do plan on having the men's team on and then the women's team on. So we will be doing Riverhounds at 4 and then rolling right into Riveters at 6. So
that is awesome. My question for you guys: if the Riveters don't score in this game, are you starting to get nervous about this team? Josh.
This is hard because it's a shorter league. It's a shorter season. So like it is more compact. I feel like 2 games is a little bit early to be concerned, but it is a shorter season. So it translates in Riverhounds years or games to the like 4 games in and not getting a goal. So like that would be concerning 4 games in, but at the same time, I still think 2 games is too early. I will not be. If we look bad, I will be concerned. Yeah. If we look good and don't get a goal, I will be not concerned, just sad.
Steve, sounds like you agree with that.
I don't even know that I'll be sad, right? Like, I mean, maybe I'll be bummed. I don't know, but
that's a different word for sad. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Thesaurus says yes.
Oh gosh, why do I talk to you guys?
I don't know. You're a Chelsea supporter. We should just mute your microphone.
But I think that I can't be upset about a team that is building from the beginning and figuring things out as we go. I think that if they play like they played, they're going to have every chance to score. And I guess we didn't really get into this, but I mean, neither team lost this game on Friday night, but the ref definitely won because he got away with gross mismanagement at his job and didn't get fired.
It's the news for you. You're gonna have to get used to this for this league.
I know, but it's the first time in a long time that I wanted like a USL Championship level of officiating.
That bad, huh? Wow.
Yeah, that's how bad it was. And so it's like, I think that, like I said, I think on another night, this could have been a 2-3 game for the Riveters. Right? Like they could have scored that many goals. And so I expect that they will have their chances and they will find something to put away. They should have had a penalty. They got robbed of a goal. So if those 2 things happen again, no, I'm not upset.
Yeah. Agreed. That is what we think. Let us know what you think. Like I said, lots of games happening this week. Sounds like watch parties and maybe a prediction show about the Hounds in Philly. Who knows? Maybe the Hounds can get a win in the Open Cup and keep the good times rolling. Josh, I thought what you guys said was great. We kind of have, short of us getting second place in the Open Cup, which at this point might not be likely. We've kind of peaked at what it is that we can achieve. So is it worth to keep going? But let's see. This could be fun. Thanks, everybody. we will be back with more Hounds and Riveters content for you very, very soon.
Later.
See ya.